Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ari for those who have just subscribed. Thank you. So this is going to be a pretty lengthy video to let you know ahead of time. I'm going to be talking about, I guess, being diagnosed with cancer at 23. So I can let you guys know what has happened. So when I was diagnosed 6 months prior, I developed a lump in my left breast. It didn't hurt. It didn't move. It was kind of just there and not something I would really point out to anyone. And it wasn't too big either. So I kind of left it alone. At about 4 months, I decided to get it checked out since it was still there. It had grown a little, so I went to an OBGYN. And the OBGYN pretty much shrugged it off as being a cyst. No tests were done, not even a physical exam. But I figured they're a doctor, so they probably know better than I do. And I just left with that. That was probably my first mistake. Fast forward to 6 months later, I was in the middle of a shower and I started feeling a weird sensation in that breast. Turns out I was bleeding. I was actually bleeding from the nipple. It felt as if I was expressing breast milk and it wouldn't stop. So I drove myself to the ER, and after fighting with the doctor there because they didn't believe me, I showed them what was going on. And they immediately said I needed ultrasound, I needed a mammogram, I needed everything that they can think of because now they were worried. So I did schedule that ultrasound, which showed I did have a tumor. They were very certain the mass was a tumor. So they referred me to a specialist, a surgical oncologist, to have a biopsy done. And I met with that surgical oncologist and she said, and I quote, "The chances of you having cancer are probably 2% considering your symptoms." And that made me feel better. But then after the biopsy, she gave me a call and said, "Remember when I told you your chances of having cancer were 2%? Well, you were in that 2%. So I was diagnosed with cancer. I had ICD, infiltrating ductal carcinoma, HER2 positive, estrogen positive. It was a rare form called mucinous carcinoma. Usually less than 1% of women get this type of breast cancer, and usually you were in your 70s and 80s when you were diagnosed. I had no history of breast cancer in my family, and I also did have the genetic testing which showed I had no BRCA gene, which is the gene mutation that puts you at risk for breast cancer. Didn't have anything like that. But that's just the cards that were dealt. So I had my surgery a month later, and I had decided to have a double mastectomy with immediate reconstruction. Surgery went well. It was a grueling 8-hour surgery and a very long healing. It probably took me 4 months before I was fully recovered. During the surgery, they removed both breasts. There was no cancer on the right side, but the left side, turns out everything was cancerous. The breast tissue itself, the skin had DCIS, which is a precancer, and the nipple was also cancerous. So that had to be removed. I thought I would have clear margins, which is pretty much showing that there's no cancerous cells within the surgical site that's left over, but they weren't clear. So I had to do chemo. I did about 8 months of chemo. It was once a week, every week for 8 months. I did lose my hair everywhere. I was sick all the time, tired all the time. But after I finished chemo, I thought I was finished. I was done, and I could finally start living life. But I was wrong. After I finished my chemo, I had to have a hysterectomy done because my cancer was estrogen dependent and my body produced estrogen from my ovaries, of course, so I can no longer have any more children. Thankfully, I at least have one. After the hysterectomy and the double mastectomy was done, it was time to go to the plastic surgeon so that way I can finish my reconstruction. But that didn't work out. I ended up having a MRSA infection in the breast implants, and they had to be removed. During the course of the next 6 months, the plastic surgeon did attempt to reconstruct 2 more times. Both times it got infected. So now I just am flat. and I'm slowly getting used to it, I guess. um, it's kind of hard to get used to, but at least I'm alive. And even though this video is kind of all over the place, I apologize. I am very new to making videos. I just want you guys to know that you're not alone, and it does happen, and that's okay. Just know that you have another sister here who would love to talk to you and answer any questions you may have, or just be there for you, just as a comfort. And just, as always, advocate for yourself. Right now, my current situation is I am quote unquote breast cancer free, because there is some suspicious activity going on in the lymph nodes, and I am getting a second opinion on if I can have a biopsy done, considering I was diagnosed with cancer in the first place when I had no risk factors. I don't want a second diagnosis to be missed. So of course, like this video and subscribe please, and I hope to talk to you guys again soon. Peace and love. Bye.